Tesla reporting their earnings after the close today. They missed estimates amid growing global competition in the EV market. John Terrett has this from New York.
Tesla is another company that is watched so very, very closely by Wall Street. It is one of the great corporations of our era. Going in on Wednesday to its earnings, Tesla shares were down by between 6 or 7/10 of 1%. They've been up about 100% in the course of the last year, although down about 15% year on year in recent weeks. With Tesla, it's all about delivery numbers. They delivered in 2023 1.8 million, but that wasn't enough to please Wall Street. They were looking for more. Tesla's also had to deal with a bout of very cold weather in the United States, from Chicago in the north all the way down to the south. And we've seen Tesla vehicles and other EV vehicles parked up and abandoned at public charging stations because the charging stations don't work. And that's a big concern about EVs. People are worried about being caught out with no charge late at night far from home. Generally speaking, globally, there is an EV demand pushback going on, or a slowdown. And Tesla has to worry about very strong competition in the world from the likes of BYD of China and NIO as well. On the other hand, they have the Cybertruck coming out now. A lot of people are very interested in that and seek to buy it if they possibly can. The thing about Tesla is that when you invest in the company, you're not investing in the products. There's nothing wrong with the vehicles. There's nothing wrong with SpaceX. You're really investing in the genius that is Elon Musk. But on Wednesday evening, the news was not good. Earnings per share was a miss, 71 cents, not 74. The revenue, 25.17 billion, not 25.87 billion. And the gross margin, 17.6%, not 18.1%. Their cryptocurrency holdings remain unchanged as well. As a result of that, Tesla shares down by between 4 and 6% in the immediate aftermath of that news. A lot depends on what Elon Musk has to say on the call, of course, as always. John Terrett, CGTN, on the trading floor of the New York Stock Exchange.
Tesla has also told its suppliers it will start production on a new mass-market EV, codenamed Redwood, in the middle of 2025, according to people familiar with this issue. The new EV is being described as a compact crossover. Tesla is hoping to compete with the growing number of inexpensive EVs, especially those made by China and BYD, which took over as the world's #1 EV maker in the last quarter of 2023. For more on Tesla's earnings and the EV world, joining us is Karl Brauer, Executive Analyst at iSeeCars.com. Good to see you, Karl. I like that you see cars, but I'm not sure Tesla is seeing profits or success in some of their forays. It's been a tough last couple of quarters for them.
Yeah, it really has, and you just can't get past a few basic realities that Tesla was really the big dog in the US and global EV market for so many years, and it no longer is. You've got BYD and a whole lot of other European and US companies that are aggressively jumping into this market space. And if you look at Tesla's market share, while it still remains extremely high, it falls every quarter. So you know more competition is coming, and we know that there's maybe been a little bit of a breath taken recently in EV sales and sales growth.
Right. When Tesla came on the market, they were the only game in town. In fact, you could argue they essentially built the entire EV marketplace and convinced, I suppose, all the other manufacturers that this was the future. So the other manufacturers then said, well, if that's the case, we're going to make EVs. And it's ironic that all these recent price cuts are in response to whether it's demand or other competition. The one industry that Tesla basically sort of built, they're now dealing with the competition that they encouraged.
Exactly. And that's the reality that you just can't get away from. You know, you listen to the call, and as is always the case, Elon's got a lot of predictions. Tesla could be the most valuable company. We could have the most advanced AI. You know, we could have the best cars in the world. These are all nice thoughts and great pictures that he paints, but we don't know. They all could happen. What do we know is happening? Well, we know more competition is coming globally and even in the US and in China and every country. And we know that EV sales, at least in the US, appear to be maybe plateauing too. Our company.
That's a really good point. If this was a couple years ago, all our buddies would be talking about how they want to buy a Tesla or the new model that's coming out. I don't hear anything from anybody over the past few months to say, I want to buy a Tesla. And I'm starting to wonder, has Elon Musk, with all his personal stuff aside, lost perhaps some edge when it comes to public opinion?
Yeah, I mean, it's been kind of his gift, right? Was his high profile genius, as people say, and the idea that if you're not really investing in Tesla, you're investing in Elon, seemed like a positive thing up until maybe a couple years or certainly a couple quarters ago. And now maybe investing in Elon is something more and more people don't want to do for one of many reasons. And you combine that again with the greater competition. And again, I just sense that there's a market kind of pause now, or a consumer pause, reevaluating things. We saw the Chicago issue last week when it got cold. Our indications are just that people are starting to kind of take a second breath on whether or not they're as interested in EVs as they were 6 or 12 months ago.
Let's talk about China very quickly. A lot was made when Tesla first came to China. Elon had his dance and big party, a big blowout. Prices were high, demand was high. Now, after numerous price cuts, demand is dropping, number of price cuts, which ultimately kills margins. And then recently they had this brake problem, I don't know if you're familiar with it, and a recall, and people were getting angry in China, specifically with Tesla. And one has to wonder, can Tesla say their foray into China has been successful at this point?
Exactly. I mean, they made, the worst thing about having a high growth, super successful launch in a country like China is that you set an expectation, right? And you kind of have almost nowhere to go but down unless you can somehow maintain that kind of crazy momentum that he had a couple of years ago. And again, with BYD and so many other companies in China really jumping in aggressively, their pricing advantages, a lot of people feel like, and newer product too. Don't forget that Tesla's product, he's trying with the Model 3, he's done some revisions, but we really need to see updated product, like substantially updated product. And he's talking about getting that going. It's supposed to come sooner or later, but we never know really what Elon's timeline is. He always makes dates up and time frames up and usually doesn't meet them. There's a lot of fuzziness out there in the future for Tesla specifically, and it makes people nervous, and that's what I think the latest numbers and the stock price reflect.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that. I know the EV industry as a whole has suffered along with their stock price, but Tesla is one of the worst performing stocks in the last few months, and it's partly because of the investors' concerns that you cited. What could Tesla do that would excite the investor base once again? Because I don't think a revamp of the 3 or any of their models is going to change that. And what happened to the Cybertruck that was supposed to be the next big thing?
Exactly. In the Cybertruck, he admitted that it's not going to generate the profit. It's going to take longer to ramp up. And again, I think we see a niche market for that. It's really not going to be a successful or an effective truck. The idea that it could somehow be his F-150 and have all these incredible sales and drive all this profit like it does for Ford, I don't think anyone believes that now. What we need from him really is some kind of a breakthrough, a major breakthrough. That could come in the form of battery technology. Could he really come up with a battery that has much denser energy and is much cheaper to produce? Or full self-driving. Can he really come up with an actual safe, effective, if not full self-driving, far more advanced semi-autonomous, sort of self-driving than anyone else has, like say Mercedes, who just broke through to level 3 on their recent developments. He's got to have some kind of a massive breakthrough. These kind of little nudges here, tweaks here and there. Not going to do it.
That's a big bet to ask for a breakthrough. In terms of Elon Musk and his plan now for 2024, kind of what he does, talks a little bit about the industry as a whole, and it's hurting. What is your prediction for the EV market specifically in 2024?
I think we're going to see a pullback in the numbers. I think everything from the sales growth and the volume and the market share, all the rates we've seen that have been fairly aggressive and people would think indicate a lot of upside for the last few years, I think we're going to see a shift. And that doesn't mean that sales are going to drop and that market share is going to drop. It just means that these predictions that we're going to be at 12, 15, 20%, for instance, in the US in the next couple of years, I think people are going to be forced to revise that and realize that past a certain percentage of market share, depending on the country, it gets much more difficult to keep growing that.
All right. Appreciate your time on this. Good to see you. Thank you.